the cost just didn't make sense. So we kind of formulated our plan.
Mhm.
Why don't we go across the street from laundromats like that? We don't
Right.
need we don't need to buy them. If we provide a better product and service at a good value for customers,
Mhm.
you know, they're likely going to come over to us.
This is the Planet Laundry Podcast. I'm your host and the editor of Planet Laundry Magazine, Bob Nieman. Today I'm with laundry owner Tyler Purcell, who operates multiple laundromats in the Cincinnati market. Tyler's the co-owner of 4 laundry locations, which are all branded as the Laundry Spot. And he's also a wealth advisor who's been in the financial services industry for more than a decade. Hey, Tyler, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Bob. Appreciate the intro and looking forward to chatting some laundry today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, obviously, your full-time job is financial planning. You're a financial planner, and that's your day job.
Yep. Yeah. So, I tell people by career, financial planner, uh, also laundromat owner by fun, kind of
Mhm.
like a day and night, like a Batman, right? During the day, financial planner, then in the background, I own laundromats. Because usually when I tell people what I do, that throws them off, because people have a certain thought process of what a laundromat is or has been. And so they're like, that's weird. Why would you own
Yeah,
laundromats if your day job is successful? So it's
right.
always a fun conversation.
Absolutely. Well, how and when did laundry make its way into the picture for you? And I know it's a family business, so
Yep.
kind of bring us up to speed on how you did get
Yeah.
involved in the evening job.
Yeah. So it's an interesting story. About 10, 11 years ago when I started dating my wife, I knew her dad had a laundromat after we were dating for some time. Never really thought anything of it. He was kind of into all sorts of things, property and casualty insurance agency, real estate. He had a laundromat, some commercial buildings. Um, and so I never really thought anything about it. I'm like, oh, it must be a decent business because he's doing it.
Mhm.
Um, Fast forward 4 years later, we get married. He approaches my wife and myself, and then also his son and his wife, and says, "Hey, I think I have a good thing going. Would you guys be interested in partnering up and growing this thing?" And my first thought was, I think I was 28 at the time. I'm like, laundromats. Like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. I'm all finance background, studied finance in college, and then obviously with my career.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I don't know. Can I see the books? Is this actually a viable business?
Right.
And he showed me his books, and I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming.
Mhm.
I couldn't believe the profit he was pulling off a single
Mhm.
location.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, well, that lines up. And then I started to do my research like, okay, if we're going to open up, what's the competition like? Like, what's out there? And
Mhm.
that really opened my eyes. I mean, the last time I had used a laundromat was college.
Mhm.
I could not believe what was out there for people to do their laundry. I mean, I looked at some of these facilities, dirty, 30-year-old machines, and I'm like, this is the best
Mhm.
that these people in these communities have to do laundry, like to clean something that they, wear every day.
Right.
It blew my mind. And so I was like, okay, these things are lining up. Let's figure something out. So we got together, created the Laundry Spot brand. My brother-in-law, he's great at the tech side of things and the graphic design and all of that. Um,
Right.
and so then we created the Laundry Spot brand, and then my father-in-law rebranded his store, and then we started opening up more. And now we have 4. Our most recent store is 2 years old.
Mhm.
So that's about time when we start thinking about store number 5.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, how has your financial background helped you as a laundry owner?
Yeah, I think it gives me a unique view on the business itself. Like
Mhm.
most people have to hire out a CFO when running a business, right? They don't necessarily understand the numbers or can make decisions
Right.
based on the info they're getting back. So for us, kind of having that built in is nice, right? Like my whole college career, I basically studied businesses and how they operate and,
Hmm.
EBITDA and, yada, yada, yada. And
Right.
so I'm actually getting some, real world experience running a small community focused local business.
Hmm. Right. It kind of helps you in your other career too, right? I mean, it kind
Right.
of there's a lot of crossover there for sure.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. I have a lot of business owning clients as,
Hmm.
financial planning clients. And when we
Hmm.
can chat about running a small business and I can give them some of that input on, at a CFO level, that's an added value, coming from me on my end.
Right. You're giving real world experience from your end as
Right.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, how much time do you spend on your laundry business? And again, mentioning that you do have the full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. So all three of us had full-time jobs when we started this thing. Um, None of us wanted to quit. We all were successful in our day jobs. We're like, I don't want to quit. Let's just keep doing this on the side. So, back when we started, I was having to go from office to, oh, our employee called off, we need somebody at the store. And I'm running a night shift at the laundromat. So those were the early days figuring things out. Slowly as we progressed, we were able to hire a GM, an assistant GM. Now we kind of have this corporate structure built out.
Mhm.
And I think each of us spends a few hours a week on the business.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of the word passive, but I
Mhm.
think we've got it to a point where you could kind of consider it semi-passive.
Right, right. You're there and you need to be there, but you've created that system, which again makes it work for everybody.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. And we
yeah.
have a lot of tools. Obviously, the laundromat industry has come a long way in just the
Mhm.
last 5 years,
Mhm.
especially the last 10 years or so. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of tools out there that make running the laundromats, reporting, communicating with employees, all of those things quicker and more efficient.
Right, right. Well, you mentioned you've built it up to 4 stores, rather quickly now, and you're looking at five. What are some of the keys to scaling a business at that pace?
Yeah, I
What have you
think
done?
yeah. So the big thing for us was getting our GM involved. We needed that full time person
Yeah.
um, there, 40 plus hours a week, really involved in the business to be able to report to us, for big decisions or things
Mhm.
like that. So she's been amazing. Our assistant GM is amazing. They basically, can handle 99% of the things that arise. And I think for a lot of us small business owners,
Mhm.
um, hiring is always top of mind, right? Like we're always trying to hire the best, retain the best. And
Mhm.
so if I had to say one thing, scaling,
Mhm.
that's it, right? Like finding awesome employees who want to be loyal to the business, and we're loyal back as owners.
Right, right. Where do you find that you get the most? Where have you found the best employees, or what's been most effective for you in building out that staff?
Yeah, so employee referrals, I mean, by far.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
Do you
we offer yeah,
do you
we offer
incentivize your employees?
We do, yeah. So we give them $200 if the employee makes it past probation.
Okay.
So $200 cash bonus for referring friend, family member,
Hmm.
and those referrals always seem to be the best employees.
Hmm.
We've tried everything, Indeed and all these other hiring sites, and
Yeah,
the turnover is pretty high, right? One out of four make it out of probation, or one out of five make it out of probation
yeah,
and become
it's low.
a long-term employee.
Mhm, mhm. Interesting. Okay. Well, so of the 4 stores that you have, how many of them have been existing stores that were purchased, or how many were complete build outs or built from the ground up?
Yeah, so we're a little different than a lot of people. I know a lot of people enjoy buying laundromats, upgrading them, retrofitting them.
Hmm.
We're totally opposite of that model. So every single one of our stores has been at least a white box build out.
Hmm.
Uh, we own three of the buildings that we're in, and then
Hmm.
our one location is in a shopping center that we lease. So We've built two of the buildings. We took the third building down to the studs basically and redid it.
Hmm.
I get the question a lot, but is it better to own the building? Is it better to lease? And I think, we're open to both. It just depends, can you get that long-term lease at a good rate? Like, for example, our leased laundromat, we're going to be under $14 a square foot 20 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so the lease almost becomes an asset because you're not going to be able to find space 20 years from now for that
Hmm.
price. So
Right.
um, that's another, I think, benefit of laundromats being not the class A retail or the A plus retail. We're usually in that BC retail. So
Right.
these landlords are looking to fill spots. They're willing to make some concessions or some TI or some rent abatement. And so, sure, we love to own real estate, right? If it makes sense, if it's a good price, but also, I have no problem leasing out stores.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Very good. Tell me why you prefer building from the ground up as opposed to taking on an existing store. Why do you choose to go that path?
Yeah. So actually, we looked at when we first got together and said, okay, let's do this. We looked at buying a pack of four in Cincinnati. We found through a connection, this person wanted to sell their laundromats. They had four across the area. So we started doing our due diligence on those things. And, we visited each store. We're looking at the equipment, we're utilities, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, we're saying, okay, well, this is not the type of laundromat we want to run. We want to run a modern, brand new, clean laundromat. So what are we going to have to put back into this to get it to where we want? Plus, we're
Mhm.
buying this business, and the cost just didn't make sense. We'd have to go in and dig up the ground and change the pits and make the water lines bigger, sewer lines bigger.
Mhm.
The cost just didn't make sense. So we kind of formulated our plan.
Mhm.
Why don't we go across the street from laundromats like that? We don't
Right.
need we don't need to buy them. If we provide a better product and service at a good value for customers,
Mhm.
you know, they're likely going to come over to us. And I know that sounds a little bit like, I don't know, a savage way of doing business, but
Well,
they've had the chance to, update their stores and, provide a better experience for customers. So I don't feel bad that we're coming in and doing that.
mhm.
Um, but to that note, that has become our business model. Is one of the first things we do when we look for another stores, we look for the competition.
Right.
And then we start running demographics and doing the real estate search and those things.
Right.
So we've put out 11 laundromats with our four.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you look for in a good laundromat? What does
Yeah, I
that mean
think,
to you?
yeah, I mean, from the point of view of like, if we're looking for competition, where do we think we want to go, or just from us building out laundromats?
From you guys building out,
Okay.
what are you looking for? Or what are you
Yeah.
looking to provide, I guess?
Yeah. You guys know better than anyone, obviously, your surveys and polls and everything get great information, but most customers just want a safe, clean, well lit experience with attendees. So all of our stores are attended full time opening hours.
Mhm.
It gives that people a feeling of comfort and safety. And so I think our experience just revolves around that. Clean first and foremost,
Mhm.
add in the customer service experience, and then other things, of course, modern equipment. You're in and out faster.
Mhm.
Ozone,
Mhm.
drop off laundry, pick up and deliver, whatever you want to add after the fact. But I think
Mhm.
the main driver is just clean, safe, comfortable,
Right. The
which is
basics.
the
Yeah.
basic, which is crazy because that's how far behind the laundromat industry has been. Like most places don't even offer those things.
Right. Right. They're not keying in even on those basics. So
Right.
it's yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
exactly.
Um, Tyler, how has the industry changed since you've been in it? And I know you've been in it, what, maybe 7, 10 years?
Yeah, right around 7 years.
What kind of changes have you seen since you've been in it?
Yeah, a ton of changes.
Hmm.
You're seeing more people go with the model of what we're doing, building out brand new stores, building from the ground up. And you're also seeing a lot of money flood into the space. They're obviously Tide is now a player. P&G is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they want to be in the laundry business.
Right.
And they're in our backyard, which is
Mhm.
fun, which is pretty
They
cool.
are, yeah.
So you know, people are starting to realize, where the laundromat industry is going. They're realizing, wow, why is this industry so far behind any others? And I think you've seen what's happened in the car wash industry. You know, PE and venture capital, they kind of started looking at that and they were like, whoa,
Right.
we can
Right.
we can make some moves here.
Yeah.
I think they're doing the same for the laundromat industry. I think I'd say we're about 5 years behind what you're seeing in the car wash industry, but it's coming.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's coming quickly, absolutely. You could kinda
Yeah,
use that as a template. Yeah.
right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you and that goes back to the point of like buying an old store and renovating it or upgrading it. Like that model is tough now because you got to be weary of someone coming right across the street with a brand new,
Mhm.
fully equipped, fully updated store. So
Mhm.
even if you do increase that experience,
Mhm.
there's a lot of players,
Mhm.
looking to open these up now.
Yeah, competition has increased tenfold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously the days of just running a zombie mat and taking all the profit and not putting any back into the business, those days are over.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, they're numbered if not over. No, absolutely. Well,
yeah.
by the same token, how has, um, the laundry spot evolved in recent years? What type of tweaks or changes have you made?
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of kind of how we've learned and grown. Each store has performed better than the last. So that's taking bits and
Mhm.
pieces of, okay, location selection, we know this now, or demographic selection, we know this.
Right.
Um, I think a big thing for us and where I think the future of the laundromat industry is going, our most recent store is 9,000 square feet.
Mhm.
So our other three are between 4,000 and 4,400.
Mhm.
Well, we built this fourth store out at 9,000 because we started to really have some serious commercial laundry business. And we
Okay.
needed places to store, we needed places to process. So in our newest store, we can gate off half the store at any point and, process the commercial during the day or slow times when we know there's not going to be a lot of self-service customers.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's where the laundromat's trending. Like if you're not doing all these auxiliary services, you're going to get left behind. And I mean, we're going to do over $300,000 in commercial laundry this year,
Mhm.
close to 400,000. So
Right.
you know, and that's picking up over the last just 2 years.
Mhm.
If we keep focusing on that, imagine what that can be 5 years from now.
Right.
And
Right.
I think from my talking to business owners who move from, the Centauses of the world, the Universe of the world,
Yeah.
they're just it's that big company experience, right? There is no white label service, Oh, hey, we have an extra pickup that we need this week. Can you guys come? No, sorry, we can't change the schedule. Or yes, we can, but it's going to be double the price for, an emergency pickup and clean. Um,
Right.
they realize with us, we're like, yep, we'll be there, no problem. And so just the flexibility, we don't lock them into contracts. Um, we're in the communities, so a lot of times we're involved in these businesses. Like we have a hotel customer where we've held plenty of events and things, at that hotel. So it's that give and take and really a community driven type of laundromat.
Mhm. Right, it's providing that niche, service that the larger commercial, industrial laundries are not gonna want to do or be able to do, effectively, and you kind of fit
Exactly.
into that niche, and it's a rather large niche as you're finding out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I see that as like the biggest driving force of like where the laundromat, these, mom and pop, if you will,
Yeah.
laundromat owner
Mhm.
getting into that space.
Mhm.
Pickup and delivery has kind of been the big thing, and a lot of focus has been on residential.
Mhm.
Um, I
Mhm.
think that's going to shift to commercial. And I think you're going to see bigger stores. You're going to see them modeled out for, that ability to do a ton of volume of commercial laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to other laundromat owners, the number one thing they say is, I wish I had more space. No
Mm-hmm.
one's ever saying, I wish my
Oh,
laundromat was smaller,
oh, I wish I would have built bigger. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Mm-hmm.
exactly. So,
Mm-hmm.
people know that. I think it's just getting around to coming to terms with, okay, these stores are going to get more expensive. The investment's going to get, you know, a lot higher than what you're used to, but
Right.
the payoff, if you run this thing right, can be worth it.
Mhm. Right. And again, you need that space. You don't want your self-service business bumping into your full service business, as you mentioned kind of at the outset.
Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
need that space. But
Yeah.
and I mean, it's
But
certainly market by market as well. I mean, certainly markets are going to be more successful with commercial business than others. But
right.
yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
growing.
I think people, they always ask me, well, like, oh, you're in a big city here in Cincinnati, but our laundromats are in the suburbs. I mean, we're
Mhm.
30 minutes from Cincinnati,
Okay.
and we're not going down to Cincinnati for any of this business. This is all in our local communities, cities
Yeah.
of 20,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I talk to a lot of people who are looking to get into the space, they're like, well, I don't know if my town's big enough. And, we go through it and I'm like, well, it's the same size as, all the towns we operate in.
Mhm.
And so I think just opening people's eyes to that as well.
Right. It's looking for it. It's everywhere you look once you start looking for that
Right.
commercial business, right? Putting on
Exactly.
your laundry glasses, I guess, and
Yeah.
looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be amazed at how many businesses need laundry service.
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
it,
Right.
almost every business out there,
Yeah.
which again, like you said, you don't start realizing until you're looking for it.
Right. Right. Well, hey, this kind of dovetails into my next question, which is, where do you see the greatest opportunities for laundry owners in the coming years? And
Yeah. Again,
obviously,
yeah.
that would be one of them for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. That's going to be our focus going forward, growing that. We've talked about hiring a another employee just for commercial sales, because right now it's either word of mouth or our GM is doing some reach out in the community,
Hmm.
to businesses that we think could use our services.
Hmm.
But I'm looking at this and saying, man, if we had a full-time sales rep to go around and you know
Hmm.
try to grab these accounts, we could double, triple the amount we're doing.
Hmm.
And so I think for us, that's a big focus. One of the interesting things that we've done recently is we had so many people coming to us and saying, do you guys do dry cleaning? And we never wanted to be in the dry cleaning business. It's totally different than the laundromat business. A lot of headaches and environmental issues and things like that. So we're
Hmm.
like, we don't want to do that, but we have so many people coming to us. How can we offer this service
Hmm.
and make some money, provide a good product? So we just went out, interviewed a couple of dry cleaners in our area for some wholesale pricing, and we made a connection, and now we do sometimes upwards of 100 pieces per week of dry
Oh,
cleaning. And
yeah.
since our vans are already out doing commercial or residential pickup,
Mhm,
they're just dropping and picking up from the dry cleaner.
mhm,
So that's been a nice little added
mhm.
piece of business as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, by contrast, what are some of the greatest threats that you see impacting laundry owners as we go forward?
Yeah,
What are laundry owners concerned about as you talk to them?
yeah. I think it's the big players coming into the space, right?
Mhm,
Um, like you look at Tide, um, billion-dollar
mhm,
company with unlimited funds, basically. Like if they want to win at something or they want to get into something, they will throw a lot of money at it. So I think us as smaller operators, we really just have to continue to uh, be at that top-notch level of service and operating, because Tide loves to sell chemicals, right? Like that's their main business.
mhm, mhm.
Are they experts in operating laundromats? Not yet, probably, right? There's not that many out there. So, um, our focus needs to be, hey, continue to be the premium product on your block or in your community, and make it so Tide's not even thinking about coming in there. Because let's say they put one across the street from us. What's best case scenario? Probably 50%, take half of our customers.
Right.
That's not going to be sustainable for them or us.
Mhm.
So I think it's just getting that first mover advantage, and then keeping your product top level and not letting it turn into a zombie mat like a lot of owners have the last 20 years.
Right. Right. If focusing, I guess, on the customer experience and the
Right.
amenities and
Yeah.
the atmosphere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we renew equipment fairly often. Our oldest machines are 5 years old in our
Okay. Mhm.
in our whole, across 4 locations. So we're always looking to be, you know, what new technology is coming out. Like the touch screens have been a
Mhm.
huge thing, that have
Mhm.
recently come out. And I think, that's going to be another differentiator because
Mhm.
as an operator, you can create 20 different cycles,
All right.
on those, and you can tweak the amount of water and the amount of, spin and the length, and, a million of these things. I think the customization is
Mhm.
going to start to get really important. And we see
Mhm.
that because we have a lot of, not usual laundromat customers come in,
Okay.
big items,
Right.
um, you know, big families who want to throw everything in an 80 pounder, and they love our, heavy soil program. We got shoe program, a sports equipment program, dog bed program, you name it.
Mhm. Right.
They feel like they're getting something unique, um, that they haven't found elsewhere and that their unit at home can't do.
Right. Right. And that's the key, offering
Yeah.
something that they can't do elsewhere. I
Yeah.
would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, what does the customer want? I mean, again, you brought up a lot of things. You brought up
Yeah.
ozone earlier. You brought up the touch screen and all the technology and all the different
Yeah.
settings that you can offer. What does the customer want in 2025?
Yeah, I think time is everything. I mean, as we continue into the future, um, everyone's looking at ways to be more efficient with time, right? Especially with the work from home thing, taking back your time,
Mhm.
making your own schedule.
Yeah.
So the ability, I think, bigger machines are going to continue to become favorable. I think that's another trend we'll see. I think we'll start to see some of these smaller 20 pounders, 25 pounders slowly disappear from laundromats. And we'll see
Yeah.
a lot more 70, 80, 90, and then,
Mhm.
maybe even 100 plus here
Mhm.
soon. So I
Yeah.
see that as a shift too. They want to be able to throw 5 loads of laundry in there and get out in an hour, which could take them 6 hours at home, 8 hours at home,
Mhm.
or at a worse laundromat, 3 4 hours.
Mhm.
So I think that's a main thing that customers are going to be looking for going
Mhm.
forward.
Mhm. Perfect. Perfect. Um, what's the biggest mistake you've made in this business, if you care to share?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I got a good story for this one. So uh, 2019, um, residential pickup and delivery was, starting to be the hot item, right? And so we were like, let's create a whole separate business for our residential pickup and delivery. Let's, create another name for it. Let's build our own custom app. Um, and so we started working with developers. We're throwing money at this thing. Um, we get it up and running, and COVID hits a month after
Right.
we
Oh,
we released the
yeah.
business. And um, it was bad timing.
Right.
We were gaining customers, but not at the rate where we looked
Mhm.
at the P&Ls and we're like, we got to shut this down. Like, we got to figure out a different way to do this.
Right.
And so, we probably put 100 grand into that endeavor and the app and completely shut it down.
Right.
And now we do all of our pickup and delivery through the laundry spot. We don't have a separate app. We use curbside.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so I think that was
Mhm.
something we got very excited about and realized like, this is not viable, and we had to pull the plug.
Well, and again, a lot of it is through no fault of your own. It's some of it was the timing. Although, however,
Yeah.
I would think that as COVID hit, you would think the residential pickup and delivery that's rising at that point. So
Well, it didn't at the beginning.
yeah,
Everybody was scared to even let someone else touch their stuff.
right,
And so, as COVID went on, I think you're exactly right. I think that started to help the business.
right,
But those first 6 months, right when
right,
COVID started, people are like, "I don't want you
yeah,
near my house. I don't want you touching my clothes." Like, we
right,
had
right.
no idea how it transferred, or, people thought it could live on clothing for a week, right?
Right,
Like,
I'm cleaning off my mail, I'm cleaning off every doorknob that I touch. Right, right,
yeah. So
absolutely.
I think that's what killed us.
Yeah.
But again, we do offer residential pickup and
Mhm,
delivery, and that's a
mhm,
growing piece of our
mhm,
business as well. But that
mhm,
was
mhm.
probably the biggest mistake so far. It's a learning,
Right,
every mistake is a chance at learning. So
right, as
we
long as you
we
learn
learned
from it, yeah, right, happy accident, I guess.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so where do you turn to for advice? Who are your mentors?
Yeah, I'd say my father-in-law has been a huge one, right?
And your father-in-law again is David Layton?
Yes, David
Yeah,
Layton. Yeah.
yeah,
So, a lot of people know him
longtime
out
operator?
in the, yeah, he's been an operator for 16, 17 years.
Mhm,
So, he's been down in the trenches. I learned a ton from him, um, over the years that there's no way I could have learned on my own or tried to do this on my own.
mhm,
Another big help has been Teeters, our distributor. They're the best out there, in my opinion, and um, never afraid to teach or have you come in and learn about equipment or repairs or whatever. Um,
right,
they've also been a huge help in the learning curve and how the industry works.
mhm, mhm. Perfect, perfect. What does it take to be a successful laundromat operator?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get intrigued by the laundromat industry because of the whole passive thing, right? Like, there's a lot of influencers out there that are like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, just buy a laundromat, collect quarters, and boom, you're a
Right,
millionaire." There's laundromat millionaire out there.
yeah,
There's all
yeah.
sort of these
He's right
personalities that
in
make
yeah, right in your backyard.
yeah, another we're a hotbed for laundry, I tell you.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think there's this big perception that you can just jump in and not have to do anything, right?
Mhm,
And at first, I mean, like I said, I was there a lot, 5 in the morning before, my day job, 6 p.m. at night after. And so you need to be prepared to do those things at the beginning. But hopefully, as you grow the business, you can put people in place like managers, GMs, AGMs. So, um, yeah, I think people just need to be aware. It's like any business. What you put into it is what you get out. If you want a top-notch
mhm,
product, you're going to need to spend top-notch effort and
mhm,
brain power and money on it.
mhm, mhm. Right, like any other business, sure.
Yep.
What what advice would you, give, other laundry owners or maybe, prospective investors, that you wish you had 7 years ago when you were first getting into it? What advice would you like to share?
Yeah, I think it's just building out all of the revenue streams that can come with a laundromat.
Mhm,
When I first got into it, I thought, oh, we only make money from washers and dryers and self-service.
mhm,
But you have self-service, you have drop-off laundry, you have residential pickup and delivery, you have commercial
mhm,
pickup and delivery, you have vending, you have ATM, you have dry cleaning now for us outsourcing dry cleaning.
yeah,
Um, it's just whoa! I did not realize there are this many revenue sources for a single laundromat. So
right.
you want to plan for those. If you want to maximize your laundromat,
Mhm.
you want to build for those, you want to plan for those, and you want to take advantage of each one of those.
Right, don't overlook those opportunities and
Right.
as you say, build for them so you
Exactly.
can accommodate them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want to have to. You don't want to have to turn down a 5,000 pound a week hotel because you have nowhere to store
Mhm.
the sheets and towels and all of that stuff.
Right. Right.
That's that's a horrible business move, right? Like if you're not built to accept awesome customers. So I think, and again, a lot of laundromat owners are like, man, I wish my store was bigger. Wish I had bigger machines. It's like, we'll learn someday, right? Like we'll figure it out.
Hey, last one for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Where do you see the laundry spot in 5 years? I know you've got a 5th store coming, but where in general?
Oh man, that's a loaded question, Bob. We have a lot going on in the background. I'm probably zip tied with some NDAs and stuff, but we have some big plans for the laundry spot. So next 5 years, I hope there's hundreds of laundry spots across the U.S. Let's just say that. So
all right.
If we get together later this year and run another episode, I can probably give you some more details.
That's
on
a deal.
All of this.
Perfect. Hey, you know what? That was everything I had. Is there anything I didn't ask, or anything you would like to get out there that you think people could learn from your journey or from the laundry spot experience? Just anything I didn't bring up.
Yeah, I'm big on sharing and helping. So if anybody is listening to this and wants to reach out, please do. I post a lot on X, formerly Twitter. My tag is at Tyler Purcell 24. Shoot me a DM, look through my information. If it can help you, I'm happy to share information for free. I don't charge, not a consultant, anything like that. I just, I enjoy the laundromat industry now. I've been a part of it for a decent amount of time. I see some unique opportunities in it, and I love to help people and share.
Perfect. Let's leave it right there. Tyler, it was great chatting with you. I learned a lot. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely, Bob. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on our podcast today. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to Planet Laundry at PlanetLaundry.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube.